The draft ranking show is back, and I'm Cody Carpentier as always. And today we're joined by the one, the only, my main man, Matty Key. Woo!
What up, baby?
How we doing?
Doing good. Very excited. I mean, football, you can smell it. We got week 0 going on in college football. Next week we hacked the real tang. And then just a couple weeks, we're gonna have real NFL football games, boys and girls. It's exciting times here in the hood.
I was attempting. I was conversing with some people trying to potentially find a way onto the field, the sideline, the press box, etc. for Ohio State, Texas in a week. And
Ooh.
I mean, if anybody knows, they know about getting into the Ohio State side of things. It's not the easiest. We've gotten rejected for their pro days multiple years in a row for whatever reason. They're just stiffs, we'll just say. So didn't quite get there. So now I'm kind of debating, do I make the 4-hour drive to Clemson and try to watch this Clemson LSU game? Or do I just stay home, enjoy the sun, watch all the games from all the night games, I should say, from my living room, and then go to the Citadel in the North Dakota State game at noon, and then just come back home and relax?
Well, if you do go to the North Dakota State game, let me know how Trey Lance's brother looks in person.
Well, that's part of the reason I would do it. I mean, Citadel was like 0-11 last year, so I just want to see Lance. That's literally like it.
Right. It's worth seeing it, though. Why not? Although 4 hours to see Clemson LSU is kind of a good bid. That seems like fair.
Clemson's such a small town, man, especially if that's what time is that game? I think that game kicks off at 7:30. So that's like a game gets over at 11. Cody doesn't get home till like 3, 4 a.m.
Yeah, because you're a psycho. You won't stay out there. You'll drive back.
Well, the thing is, I would, but like the Hiltons are going to be jacked up to like $450 a night. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah, right.
I'd rather sleep on the highway in the back of my car, but it's probably going to end up being the Citadel NDSU game just because there's no other Citadel games I want to go to this year, and that stadium is like literally not even a half mile from my apartment. So
yeah, I think you've made your decision, sir.
Probably just gonna have to go see the Bison. But dude, like the idea of LSU and the Clemson, it's making it tough on me because it's like 2 top 10 teams with those quarterbacks. Like that could be 1, 2 in the draft next year, hypothetically. So
yeah, you got to make the drive. You have to do it. Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's going to be that's QB1, QB2 projected preseason. You got to see him.
Gosh, making it tough. All right, I got a couple days to make the decision. But today, we're going to do 3 up, 3 down from the 2025 week 2, week 1, whatever, just so far through the preseason. 3 up, 3 down, our thoughts, things that are catching our attention, things we're shifting our thoughts on, trying to adjust on the fly as the bigger the weeks go by, the bigger the draft weekends come through for everybody drafting at home. I know you got a couple of teams going up, a couple of thoughts going down, a couple of quarterbacks that shocked me that I think we're going to talk about here. At the end, I want to talk about some handcuffs and how the handcuff market is laying going into the season and where your tier breaks are in this group. But first, let's start with 3 up. Who's your first one?
So for me, again, I hate to bring them up. Feels like I talk about them every single week, but I think they're worth bringing up. It's the New England Patriots. They're a massive up for me. I was going to do just Travion because obviously Travion's been an absolute demon in the preseason. But I think overall, I'm just going to go with the Patriots because they seem like the program is being run well. I've been to a practice. I was there for the joint practice with the Commanders, and it's just night and day difference from last year with Gerard Mayo at the helm. Mike Vrabel's got this team working. He's got this team kind of a well-oiled machine, and Josh McDaniels with this offense, they're really kind of staying within themselves and developing. The way I viewed this after just the first couple of weeks of training camp was, when you get a phone and you start going on some websites that you shouldn't be going on with your phone, all of a sudden you can't pull up an app. It's getting a little laggy. You hit the factory reset, right? You just fry the whole thing and start anew. That's what McDaniels Vrabel has done with this offense, and namely Drake May. I mean, going back to the first practice, they just worked on check downs and screens, and they want this kid to play within himself. They want him to be Clark Kent way more than he has to be Superman, knowing full well that if he has to don the red cape, he can. But I really like what I've seen. Will Campbell has looked amazing in the run game. He's still got some work to do in the passing game, but most rookie left tackles do have some work to do against some of the premier edge rushers. But this is going to be a run heavy, a run first team. I think the Patriots are going to be a borderline, if not a playoff team. So from what I've seen, in terms of the poise, in terms of delivering during the game, I know the games don't count, but it certainly counts if you look like dog shit, and they don't. They look good. They're able to get this thing going, and they're building on momentum. And I really see that this Patriots team has made strides early on in camp or throughout camp at this point, and now just knocking on the door of the season. I'm getting excited.
I think Travion's been the most interesting, next to another guy we're going to talk about here in a minute. But if you look on like FFPC ADP data, which is updating ever so quickly, like it just as drafts happen, it updates. It's unlike any other ADP, it seems like, as far as tracking on the internet. Travion went 301 last night in a FFPC main event. He also went 303, I think it was, both times ahead of Amari and Hampton. From the Chargers, both guys right there at the 2-3 turn as far as their peak draft position the last week. This is between 8-12, so last Tuesday and this Tuesday. Hampton had a high draft pick of 24 and a low of 34. His ADP is 28. Henderson's high of 25, low of 45 at 35.7. That's over the course of the last week. Over the course of the last 3 days, which is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Henderson is now ADP 32, high of 25, low of 42. He's now closing that gap in on Hampton, who's at 27 overall. He's just a touch behind Hampton and Kyron Williams, and that seems to be the consensus when people talk about where these guys are going in drafts. It's Kyron, Amari, and Travion in the same conversation right now on August 19th. I'll be interested to see where that continues to grow. But, man, like I think you're still looking at a value in Travion Henderson in this offense by itself. You look at just the running backs across the board. He's running back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Achane, 7's Chase Brown, 8's Henry, 9's Bucky, 10 is Taylor, 11's Jacobs, 12 is Kyron, Omarian's 13, Henderson's 14, Ken Walker's 15. Now, like when you read those names through, when you think about, all right, what's kind of the projected result here? Like I think Henderson's going to get more in between the tackles than people expect. I think he's an elite pass catcher, obviously an elite pass protector. There's no reason he can't finish as a top 10, top 9, top 8 running back in the sport. So you're still getting value up into the second round. I know it's starting to get to a point people are questioning it though. Like, all right, is this too far? Or can we still get a little bit of value out of this kid? Do you think he should be ahead of Amari and Hampton right now?
No, I don't think he should be Amari Hampton, but I would take both Hampton, and I would also take Travion or wait if you're going to play the ADP game over like the Bucky Irvings. I would rather have them over Kyron Williams. I'm not going to bet on the little guys in the year of our Lord, the regression year of that is to come when it comes to running back injuries. Give me these guys who have built like brick shit houses. Give me these guys who have fresh legs.
All right, another rookie I'll go up here with that we're both on the same page with is Bill, otherwise known as Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Bill Krosky Merritt, whatever you want to call him. You got to call him baller because as of last night, through his first 2 career games, just so we're calling a spade here and being clear, Jamal Charles holds the all-time record for most career yards per carry for running backs, 5.4. All-time record, NFL career, Jamal Charles. Bill Krosky Merritt is currently averaging 6.2 yards per carry. Just so we're being clear. His ADP has jumped up to 123 overall, which is the end of the 10th round. He peaked at 94 last night, which is right there. What is that? Eight?
Early 8th. Yeah, early 8th.
Think of the exact number of this, but it's 10 minus 8. Yeah, you're sitting there right about, last pick of the 7th round. Something like that. So
it depends on the size of your league, 7th, 8th round.
Well, this is FFPC 12 teamer, yeah. So So the running backs around him right now: Ramondre, Bigsby, Benson, Braylon, Spears, Sampson. I mean, if you can assume he's the starting running back, then I think that's probably a value. We like Krosky Merritt. I thought he was good at the Shrine Bowl. He was my all Shrine Bowl running back, and it was clear cut ahead of Taj Brooks. Corey Kiner were there, two running backs that we talked about that week. Krosky came in and he was pretty clear, though. And not a lot of people knew his name because he played one game last year because the NCAA kind of screwed him over, or some people might say he screwed himself over by trying to switch jerseys mid-game to retain a red shirt, which is maniacal, which is cool with me. So,
Yeah, we're okay with that on TDR.
But the deal is with Washington right now, what obviously enhances his up factor in this conversation is why he's one of the 3 ups, not the 3 downs, is that Brian Robinson sounds like he's not going to be on the roster when week 1 rolls around. That was reported from Ben Standig last week, who reports on the Washington Commanders. And everyone's like, what? Why wouldn't Brian Robinson be on the roster if Ja'Cory Krosky, because the phrasing was, I don't know how Brian Robinson's on this roster if Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt is, because I don't know how you're keeping Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt off the field, which is very interesting because in the next sentence, if you listen to the podcast and you didn't just read the tweet, which I would say 95% of the people did, I went and listened to the podcast. Ben Standig also mentioned in there in the next sentence that Austin Eckler, in fact, has been the best running back at Commanders camp. But he knows that you can't overwork Eckler. Is there a potential avenue here, Maddie, that both Eckler and Krosky Merritt are values at the current stage? I know picking Eckler in this stage of his career is pukey, but if Brian Robinson's gone, it's pretty clearly these 2 guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say it limits their upside, but due to their ADP and due to where you're getting them in terms of fantasy football value, there's still some meat left on the bone. I definitely think you can cash in on both. I would just be a little bit hesitant to start naming, I'm starting to see dynasty trades. You're moving round 2 picks for Bill.
Shut up.
I saw it on Twitter. People are putting it out there. And the poll was damn near 50-50. It's getting a little bit diabolical. I'm understanding the hype. The Commanders themselves are telling us that there should be hype around this kid based on their actions. I would just limit the expectations, because if we know anything about the way Cliff Kingsbury is going to operate this offense, it's not just going to be Bill and Eckler. It's probably going to be Bill Eckler and Brian Robinson, or Bill Eckler and, Chris Rodriguez. There's going to be a rotating cast. So I don't know if the volume is there. And I do want to say this. I have to. I'm a hater. Call it what it is. I don't care. Last night against the Bengals, started off 3 for 36 with a big touchdown run, finished the game with 5 carries for 39. So it's not like this guy's breaking everything. And the touchdown run, you could have landed a 747 on that path. There was no one around him. It wasn't like he broke tackles and made someone miss. No, he had a wide open lane and jogged into the end zone. Again,
it was a good play.
It was fine. But you can't sit there and tell me that
Brian Robinson Jr. trips over his feet on that.
Well, Brian Robinson Jr. he just has one direction. It's into the guard's ass.
He doesn't make that cut. That's the first thing.
He doesn't make the cut. Yeah, but I could give you a laundry list of 20 running backs that can make that cut.
But they're not on the Commanders.
That's why I'm okay with being excited about Bill. That's why I'm okay with him being up on this show. The Commanders are telling us that we should be excited. Now, if Brian Robinson was not rumored to be cut or dealt, if Kingsbury didn't basically flat out say that there are running backs that fit his scheme better, not named Brian Robinson, I probably wouldn't really be putting a lot of hype in this 7th round pick. But they're telling me to be hyped, and he's looked good enough that I'm not gonna be stupid about it.
Stupid about it. You brought the trades. I just went and looked up a bunch of trades. I like Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt a lot. Okay. There's one side of this that you do in Dynasty and one side that you don't do in Dynasty. Let me guess. Let me let you guys guess which side you should and shouldn't do. Exhibit A. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, for a 2026 second. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and a third for Luther Burden. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for a 2026 second. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for Shedeur Sanders. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for a 2027 second. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for a 2027 second. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Jalen Milroe for Anthony Richardson. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for a 2027 second. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for a 2027 and a 2028 second. This is... I like one side of each of those trades, and none of them include his name, which sucks because I love him. But this is how you dynasty. This is how you turn a 5th round asset into a 2nd round pick in 2027.
In a matter of 3 weeks. I know the draft happened in May, but the round value increased by 3 rounds in 36 days.
Do people understand that? Like, and that's like, again, like in a normal draft, like, oh, 2nd round pick's a 2nd round pick. But the 2027 2nd round pick, we've been hyping this class for a year already, and it's still a year away, 2 years away.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That class is going to be the literal definition of diabolical. It's going to be 20 deep. No matter what your 2nd round pick is, it's going to be a 1st round pick.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that you could potentially trade I don't even get it. I'm not going to go into this any further, but like, that's how you dynasty. As much as you like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, you understand that a guy like that is not long for a starting role in the NFL in fantasy football. And if you can get a value like that, especially in dynasty, when you like, there was not a single chance that you thought drafting him at the 4 and 10, the 5-8, you were like, this guy's going to be something for me this year. Now, if you're pushing for a title this year, it's newfound gold. You know, you need that 4th running back. You got your 4th running back now, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time in Dynasty, you didn't even think about this guy. You had him on your taxi squad already, and now you're like, I can get a 2nd round pick in 27? What? Or I can make a move and get Luther Burden? What? You do that 13 times out of 10. All right.
That's right.
That's enough on Bill.
No, I need, but I know, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I have to do this because it's been driving me nuts since yesterday. I saw people talk about if he did not lose his eligibility, he would have been taken in the 3rd or 4th round of the NFL draft.
Yeah.
And I just want to play this quick game with you. He was the last running back selected. So I'm going to go from last pick of running backs, which is Bill, and we're just going to say, would you rather? And we're going to see where he would have finished if he played exactly like he did in 2023. So we're talking about, Iraq at Arizona, look good, all that stuff. Okay.
Wait. He didn't have a rack at Arizona.
No, he did it in 2023, didn't he? Didn't he have 1,200 yards?
Freaking New Mexico.
Oh, at New Mexico. No, I'm saying at Arizona last year, if he would have had the same production that he had at New Mexico State.
I thought you were saying if he would have came out after New Mexico, he would have been.
No. I'm saying if he would have produced in 24.
Got it.
Like he did in 23 at Arizona, he would have been a 3rd or 4th round pick is kind of the cap I've seen out there. And I want to say false. So I want to play a name game of this rookie class, and we're going to see where he would have finished based on our scouting. Because you and I are in the trenches. We do TDR we're already on the 26 class. Okay. So we know about the 25 class. So Ja'Cory or Phil Maffa?
Ja'Cory.
Fair. Ja'Cory or LaQuint Allen?
Ja'Cory.
But it's close.
Yeah.
Ja'Cory or Kylo Monagai?
Ja'Cory.
Okay. Now it's where it gets tough. And we're still in the 7th round, people. Brashad Smith or Ja'Cory?
I think you have an argument there with Ja'Cory.
I'm taking Brashad Smith. Damian Martinez or Ja'Cory?
Damian Martinez.
Taj Brooks or Ja'Cory?
I mean, Taj has got the profile. Ja'Cory outplayed him at the Shrine Bowl, period. So, I had him ahead of him anyway. So
okay, but that's still 6th round. We have yet to even come close to the 3rd or 4th round.
We also, for context, we had Damian Martinez valued much higher than the 7th round.
Me too. And I had Prashad. I didn't have any of these guys necessarily rated higher in terms of the round that they went. I mean, I
Yeah.
had them higher in the list, and because of the depth they fell. Whatever.
Yeah.
Side note: Khalil Mullings, which was a clear overdraft in the 6th round. I'm
Yeah.
taking Jacory.
Jacory.
Okay with that. And then after that, I don't think you would take Jacory over any of these guys. To be honest, Devin Neal,
I think this next group of Devin Neal, Ollie Gordon, like
DJ Giddens, Jaden Blue.
yeah, he's right there. I think that tells you where he's at. Like he's not going to surpass that area
No,
unless he has like a maniacal 1,400-yard season with 20 touchdowns, which he wasn't going to do.
He wasn't going to do that.
Could have, I guess. He had 100 some in the first week, but I just don't think that was going to happen.
No, my point is not about Jacory not being good. My point is that this class was so loaded.
Yeah.
So to act like he was ready to be a 3rd pick is ridiculous. That's all I want. And I just want to hear your opinion on it too.
100%. I think you nailed it with the just kind of walking through that way. That he's not getting ahead of the Blue Giddens Gordon area.
No, and I would have said that those guys were underdrafted.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of the point. That's how it works into. We assumed those guys were going to be drafted a couple rounds earlier.
Mm-hmm.
One guy that was drafted a couple rounds earlier, Alec Amaner. We don't have to stop on this one very long because I know we got one other up. That's an honorable mention or an addition to this 3 that we're going to have a 4th. Alec Amaner, though, reports came out last week that he had a poor week of practice against the Falcons, and then he shows up in the game. I don't even know what the stat line was. I don't really care. I watched the game back, and I was impressed with Alec Amaner, who ran a 4.44 at 206 pounds. I had him ranked just outside my top 12 coming through the process. He goes in the 4th round to the Tennessee Titans. 2 picks ahead of Jordan Watkins, who we haven't even heard do much at all this fall camp. Jalen Royals was just ahead of him. Jalen Lane was just ahead of him. Amaner it felt like a big discussion point through the pre-draft process. People either loved him or people either hated him. Felt like people either had him wide receiver 7 or wide receiver 17. I liked him, and I also like where he's at right now, and I think he's had a big step forward and up because Lockett's been banged up, where Restrepo hasn't quite hit, I guess, the way we thought he might connect with Cam Ward, at least to the inside eye at Tennessee Titan camp. Like, we just assumed, like, the kid that played with the dude for a year during his best season is probably going to be the one that connects with him and makes the roster, but I don't know. We'll see. It seems like the number 2 wide receiver outside of Calvin Ridley, who's the obvious one, is potentially Amaner. And I wrote in my top thoughts from the week over at Roster Watch on the show that it would not shock me in the slightest if Amaner surpassed 750, maybe even 850, 950 receiving yards this year as the number 2 in Tennessee.
He's definitely been a pleasant surprise for me. And you got to give credit where credit's due. It seems like he had a lackluster process. And it seemed like he was kind of hurt by the fact that he had that massive game against Travis Hunter a couple of years ago because everyone's comments on the kid was he did it one time against one player. So he just I think he's kind of been fighting against it. And so it's good to see him have some good camp. I know it's not all good days, but we've seen enough in terms of his route tree, enough of his flexibility, in and out of breaks, kind of just the nuances, the technique being a little bit better than expected. And we know he has the size, athleticism. So if he can put together a little bit more of that route running prowess, I think he has a real shot. And just to comment on Restrepo was always climbing a mountain, undrafted kid, ran a 5.2 40, whatever it was. He was going to have to come out humming from day one. He was basically going to make the team if Cam Ward told them they had to keep him. And I don't know if he's going to do that. The second he locked in with Calvin Ridley, he was like, oh, that's my guy. So I don't know about him, but it's been good to see Elick to play a little bit better than I think many of us expected.
He goes, Strepo. Shit. That's how that conversation went.
I'll put in a good word for you in the Saints.
What the fuck? All right, who's your forward? You got a forward? You got a last one here for the ups?
Yeah, I think we just got to talk about the Bears offense real quick. And it's not necessarily the stats that we've seen. Huh?
Did you paint your fingernails this morning?
No, but I do have my dress ironed and pressed ready to go to work. I'm going to put that dress on, baby. But it's not necessarily the stats or anything. It's just seeing Caleb Williams throw on time, throw in rhythm, seeing the offense kind of look smooth, and then we knew the weaponry. The weaponry. The more I think about this, weapon for weapon, is there a better offense in football? How it plays out is how it'll play out. But if we're talking about building a Madden team, their offense has to be rated among some of the weaponry is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
3 receivers, maybe 4 if Zacchaeus is gonna play. And Zacchaeus is, he'll have a role. He's always been a pro's pro, and I always have respect for the players that stick around because, the more you dive into this process, into this game outside of what we see on Sundays, the 24/7 stuff, you understand how hard it is to stay in a league like the NFL. And the fact that he does and continues to at least shine when needed, I give that guy a lot of credit. So if he's going to be the 4th receiver, then you talk about 2 tight ends that are legit players. The running backs are the running backs, but come on, they're not going to need to do a whole lot. If this offensive line can hold up, which it's looked pretty good, and I don't know if that's because of how Ben Johnson's scheming it, because they've improved, maybe a collection of both. Doesn't matter. It seems to me like this Bears offense is ready to take off, and Ben Johnson was the right hire. They got the right personnel, and now you got a situation where you have your highest paid player in franchise history in DJ Moore, who's only produced in that uniform. You have Roma Dunze, who was a top 10 pick last year, stud prospect profile. And now you have Luther Burden, who's just coming in and doing the right things, all the red flags. He didn't have good head and shoulders. Looks to me like he showed up ready to work, showed up ready to listen, showed up ready to be coached. And now he's got the GM saying nonsense like well, not nonsense, but definitely saying it to the wrong people, spilling it to the announcer that he thinks Burden's gonna be better than those other 2 guys. I don't think those other 2 guys would be too happy to hear that. But anyway, this team offense looks good and the weaponry is outstanding. Outstanding.
Burden is a dog, and we knew that. He looks like he's going to be a dog. DJ Moore, your guy, seems like he's continuing to be a value in every facet of life. And from everything I can tell, just reading behind the lines and reading how the team is moving and the offense will unfold and how the organization is treating these guys, it seems like Roma Dunze is their guy, period.
This has been the paradox of the Bears all week long. When you're following along, watching kind of the reports from the sideline of practice, it's Rome, it's Rome, it's Rome, connection with Rome. Then during the games, it hasn't been. So it's like I think a lot of the surface scouts, the guys that just tune into box scores and just don't really do the legwork, they're thinking it ain't Rome, get rid of Rome. But if you're listening and you're watching every single day, like guys like we are, you're knowing that the connection with him and Rome and Caleb is there. And the player was just immensely talented. So just don't forget about Roma Dunze here.
I love me some Roma Dunze. All right, Maddie, here's our problem is 28 minutes in, we just got done with the ups. So we're going to do down. And we're going to do them a little bit quicker, a little more rapid fire. We got 4 downs. And then I want to ask you a couple of handcuff questions. Let's do rapid fire, though, because I don't want to talk too much shit. But first, I'll bring up the Indianapolis passing game. I think we're on the same page with this one. These are all really yours, but I'm going to steal the Indianapolis passing game.
So you shouldn't have broke the 4th wall. It's fine.
It's all right. They can see behind the lines. It's all right. Show them how the sausage is made. It's not really just rolled up and served in a taquito. Indianapolis passing game. I had a takeaway this weekend after watching the games that it was easy to see because it was the same game and the same, it was quarterback, drive by drive, that Malik Willis would improve this freaking passing game in Indianapolis. And that thought is bizarre because as someone who loved, again, Malik Willis coming out of college, he's grown in Green Bay the last 2 years. But the idea that you could say that with full faith and belief that he would improve a passing game that involves Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, of course it makes sense, but it's bizarre to think about. And I think this passing game, my thoughts are just simply, it sucks because I really want to draft Tyler Warren. I think Michael Pittman's a great value. Downs is banged up. I've never really liked drafting Alec Pierce. And I also really want to draft who did I just skip? God, there's so many names there. Adonai, Michael Pittman. Did I say Michael Pittman yet?
You said you like Pittman. Adonai was one you hadn't mentioned.
Adonai was going to be the one. That's the one. That's the one I really want to pick is Adonai, but I don't trust it to get targets to Adonai. Like I think I know Pittman's going to get targeted. Warren seems to be going to get. He's probably the safest. Warren probably is. But I want Adonai to take that next step. And it's like that's an offense that, like, you look at the Vikings right now and you're like, all right, who's the guy? The guy's Jefferson. Who's the second guy? The second guy is probably Addison. The third guy's Hawkinson. All right, you look at Indianapolis. And in Minnesota, you're like, all right, I think McCarthy can do that. And in Indianapolis, you're like, all right, well, who's the guy? The guy is Pittman. The second guy is probably Warren. And the third guy is going to be probably a Downs or an Adonai for all intents and purposes. Downs, I know, can lead the team in targets in any given week, but can the quarterback feed those guys? No. Not in any consistent fashion to where they're going to score 20, 25, 30 points a game and give you any fantasy output. That's the scary part for me.
I just want to add one thing. It's about Tyler Warren. It's not about the player. It's not about his skills. It's just about I got to call something out here. I got to call out Yahoo Sports. They tweeted the Colts believe Tyler Warren could lead the team in targets similar to how Brock Bowers did last season. And that is such a bad tweet, such a misleading tweet, such a dumb thing to say. And it only takes 2 Googles to realize why that's dumb to say. Google number 1, how many targets did Brock Bowers get last year? Answer, 153. Top 5 in the NFL. In the NFL. Does that seem realistic? No. I would even say that you would probably have to put more than 100 to make 100 to bet that Tyler Warren ever sees a single season in which he gets 153 targets. Second Google, team pass attempts in 2024. Oh, the Raiders were 4th in the NFL last year in team pass attempts. 4th. Colts, 6th from the bottom. Now, I don't know about you, Cody, but I don't think Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones is a talent that sparks the offense to go, hey, we need to throw a lot more. The volume ain't there. He might lead the team in targets, but it might be 86 targets, which is fine. It's a decent value. He's going around pick 120. It's okay. But to be overly hyped about Tyler Warren in 2025 is fool's gold. Another thing to add to this offense, they're going to run the football so much because guess what happens to teams who play tight, teams who know that if they are back in the bottom 5 of draft picks, Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, they gone. Later, you have a whole new regime picking the new quarterback. So they know they need to win games. And how this team is going to have any chance of winning is going to be keeping the ball on the ground with JT, let Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson run the ball. Catastrophic for the passing game.
Speaking of passing games, I thought Tyler Shook would walk in and steal this job, but it seems like it might be Rattler. You feel the same way?
Feel the same way, and he was definitely – Tyler Shough is a massive down. And now I also want to post it in this question. This is how I'm going to phrase it to you. Over under 15 games started in his career.
Oh, shit. Career. Oh. Over.
See, I think I'm going to start. I'm taking the under because he's not going to play the first month if Rattler wins the job. If they suck, they turn it to Shough. They're going to suck again. You're going to tell me that Kalen Moore is going to pass on Klubnik, pass on Nussmeier, pass on even a good season from Drew Aller?
I think it's cute that you think Kalen Moore is going to keep the job.
Well, the Saints have shown loyalty. I mean, Dennis Allen was allowed to putter around for multiple years. I think they give him.
How'd that work?
More. It didn't work. It hasn't worked. This team hasn't been good since Sean
Brendan
Payton left.
Staley and Kellen Moore.
I think they get 2 years because I think that the sell to ownership is this. Let me pick the quarterback at the top of the draft and let me see what I can do with it. Look what I did with Herbert. Look what I did with Dak. Look what I did with Jalen Hurts. I think that is the sell. Either way, it ain't Tyler Shough. He's going to be relegated to a backup role as early as his second year. But hell, he may never get out of the backup role if he can't beat Spencer Rattler this clearly. And now you're starting to hear reports. I try to tune into sports radio around the country to hear what people are seeing every day. And people are already saying that 40th pick has been lit on fire. That 40th overall draft selection was D-U-M-B dumb.
Case Keenum had 66 career starts. I know these are high end backups, but I think that from a competency standpoint, I do think that Shook is high character and smart enough to just linger around the league. You said 15 starts, right?
Yes, not 15 games played.
The problem is that Chase Daniel also only 5 starts. And he's obviously was around the league for 13 years.
Right.
So that's the conundrum you kind of find yourself in, is will he get a season basically for a chance, or will he replace? I think this year, I think you're playing with the fact that he could probably push 10 potentially, depending on how things unfold.
Yep, I agree with that. I think 10 is about the number.
And then can he muster up 5 for the rest of his career? I think that's the interesting side of that question. I could agree with you. I could see it if they give Kellen Moore one more year, if they have a top 3 pick or top 2 pick and they can get a Lenora Sellers type. But man, if they win like 6 games and they're picking like 9th or 10th or 11th or something, I want to hear that. I want to hear that Gruden. I want to hear that Gruden music. That's what I want to hear.
Oh my God, that's John Gruden
In
music.
New Orleans, I want to hear Gruden in New Orleans. All right, who do you got next?
My next down, so I had Shuck. I had we had the Colts in my third down.
Bengals defense.
Was the Bengals defense. Thanks, way to bring it back on track. Yeah, it seems to me, and two friends of the show, two friends of ours tweeted something back to back yesterday. It just made me laugh because I think they're both spot on. Our guy Theo Greminger tweeted that this offense is going to average 30 points a game. I certainly think it's possible. And then our other friend Ryan McDowell quote tweeted and said, "Yeah, but their defense is going to average 30.5 points game given up." And that is also probably true. They look like a sieve on defense. They still can't finish this Hendrickson thing. That's lingering over their head. It's just they don't have the playmakers on defense. Shamar Stewart started late, and that was a kid they needed to have in the building immediately and develop, because we knew he was a raw prospect. He was a green prospect. He didn't have production because he needed to develop. I don't think they have the horses to make plays on defense. And at this point, in fantasy purposes, if you're going to be a stationary guy at quarterback and be highly touted, you got to throw for a lot of touchdowns. And I think Joe Burrow, if healthy, is a shoo-in for 45, 50 touchdowns. I mean, he is going to chuck the damn ball because they got a ton of pass catchers. They're loaded at that position. And I do believe that their offensive line will be a lot better this year. So I think they keep him upright despite how he looked last night against Washington. I do think they have the players to keep his jersey relatively clean. So, yeah, that defense, though, that's going to be an uphill battle for that Bengals team. How do they get that defense playing any resemblance of decent football? Because right now they are 5 steps behind, and they didn't have a single step to be behind.
This was starting as a 3 up, 3 down segment. We did 4 up, and now I might as well just give you a 4th down. I'm gonna bulk the New York teams together here. That game was brutal to watch this weekend. I hated it. I hated every minute of it. And the biggest takeaway was that Bo Collins could potentially be the number 2 with the Giants. And I think both of these teams could combine for 5 wins. I like the Giants defense in a vacuum. But I'm worried about Malik Neighbors. The toe thing all of a sudden became a back thing out of the blue, and that's how preseason injuries work because they don't have to report anything. I'm a little worried about a toe and a back more than I am a hamstring per se. It's just soft tissue versus I don't know. I don't know what the problem is with Neighbors, and we know Neighbors took hits last year and was targeted a ton in some games and got hit more and more and more. And I just don't know how that unfolds. Right now, I like Neighbors. I moved him behind Amon-Ra, though, this year. But my down has to just be the city of New York generationally sucking at football for the last couple of decades. That's going to be the 4th and final down.
I love hearing it. I mean, they couldn't happen to 2 worse franchises if you ask my personal humble opinion. But, hey, I have a little bit of bias. But I will say, Giants fans, darts look pretty good. Can we have him take a snap from under center, though?
Yep.
Just a thought. 2 preseason games in, I think he's taken 1, maybe 0 snaps from center. I know in the first game he didn't make a single throw, a single drop back from under center. It seems like you wanna get that kid those kind of reps in games at some point, because everybody's going to run pistol shotgun every single play. What is this, Ole Miss? I don't think so. But I will say he has looked good. I do think that they found something in Jackson Dart. But will they giant themselves? Will they get in their own way? Will they start Russell Wilson too long because they're the Giants, and they are also playing for their jobs? The Jets, on the other hand, I think Aaron Glenn's playing with free money. I think that the Justin Fields experiment will fizzle out. It will be probably decent for fantasy because he can run. But, I mean, there are just clips coming out from camp. That kid never developed a passing attack. Like, that kid – and has there been a prospect that just was flipped on his head more than Justin Fields in recent memory? He wasn't the prolific rusher at Ohio State. He was more of the downfield passer. And now he comes in the pros, and all he is a Malik Willis. Just can run the ball. That's it. Can't throw it. So, yeah, I agree. Jets, big down. Big down. Same thing with Giants.
All right. Handcuffs really quickly. We're 40 minutes in. We got to get out of here. I know we do. You haven't said anything yet, but I feel like we got to get out of here. Jalen Warren, starting running back or backup running back in Pittsburgh?
Starting running back.
Fuck you. All right. Best handcuffs.
Caleb Johnson will start with that Pittsburgh attack. And I think Handcuff is being a little cheeky because I don't think we're looking at Jalen Warren getting a 65, 70% snap share. I think this is a 52-48 type deal. Caleb's looked good, breaking tackles. But the fact that they've held Jalen Warren out, I think speaks to the plan with the offense. And he's going to be the guy who takes the ball first in that first game. So he is the starter. Caleb would be technically the handcuff, but I think he's a good handcuff. A developing handcuff is someone we've preached about throughout the entire offseason. Hell, we've been preaching about it even back into the draft season. Ollie Gordon is becoming a massive value when you were talking about handcuffs. He's light years better than Jalen Wright is in this offense. This offensive line is a sieve. They need a big body guy, someone that can, force the defender's hands and kind of really play beyond just going down after first touch. Ollie Gordon can provide that. And despite having a clearly terrible offensive line, Ollie Gordon has 3 breakaway runs in the preseason. So I do think he's in line to be the backup in in Miami. So he's definitely a handcuff you're going to want to roster. And then third guy I want to talk about here, and I kind of just want to get your opinion on the handcuff. It's not really how I have him ranked or if I have him valued highly, is what happened to Roschon? Are we done? Is he done? Is it over?
I mean, in what context? I think he's got a role in the team. That's the problem. I think what I think you're trying to get to is that Monin guy's probably a decent handcuff here. But I just
even the rumors that they're okay with a Brian Robinson acquisition, that they might scour the cut market for another running back. It just feels like is he just not going to? I thought it was going to be, you're David Montgomery. We have our Jahmyr Gibbs. This is how we're going to roll. And if something happens to Swift, you're going to be the guy up, lead dog. And now I don't know what his value could be for this team.
This is just what he is. This is just what he is. Texas fans know this. This is just what Roschon is. He's a really good player, really good runner, but he's also just like a really good teammate, really good special team guy, really good just like third down, short yardage, situational specific player. And that's, for fantasy football purposes, almost a 0 in conversation. So I don't even put him on my list of 20 guys for handcuffs because I don't even really consider him in that conversation, even though if a Swift goes down, you probably perceive that as like, whoa, but it's probably not. They probably go out and get somebody. Mana guy gets to work, different things like this. This is my, I wanted to talk about this because I wanted to run you through this really quickly. I think the top tier of handcuffs, whichever way you see the Warren Caleb thing, is whoever's opposite is the handcuff. Tyler Algier, Trey Benson, Zach Charbonnet. I put Sean Tucker on here for now with the Rashad White injury. Ollie Gordon. I think Will Shipley. Jaden Blue, I think, curves out a bigger role, but Jaden Blue's currently, I think, a handcuff. Isaiah Davis, if you consider him the third in that room. This is the interesting group here. Ready? DJ Giddens. Just right on the clips of top 10. Kendre Miller. think he's looked good. I think Giddens
Yeah,
and
he
Kendra
is.
Miller had a good couple of weeks here. I
Mhm,
think Corum's the guy in Los Angeles.
mhm.
Rasheen Ali. These are my two favorites that I think I've seen through training camp. Rasheen Ali and Craig Reynolds. Complete donkeys. I get it. I don't even know if Rasheen Ali's going to make the roster. Some people say he's going to. Some people say he's not. When I say people, it's Ravens beats.
Yeah.
I think Rasheen Ali in Chicago would be interesting. So
Mhm.
I like Rasheen Ali. I think Craig Reynolds is an interesting, like he seems to just to be like the kneecap guy in Detroit right now. That's the guy behind David Montgomery if Montgomery goes down, and he looked good. So those are four interesting names though I thought of just outside the top 10 of handcuffs is Giddens in Indy. He seems like clear-cut guy. Kendre
Mhm.
Miller, Rasheen Ali, and then Craig Reynolds. Just some bizarre names I wanted to mention.
Yeah, I think it's a good call. I'm glad you did bring up Kendricks. I think sometimes the football world needs a splash of water in the face. Kendre Miller coming out was a better prospect than Devin Neal. So it's not shocking to me that Kendre Miller might get the first crack if Kamara gets hurt or is traded. Devin Neal, I like the player, but Kendre coming out was built to be a bell cow running back. I mean, what he did at TCU, his overall skill set. I mean, we can't forget about guys who had prospect profiles like Kendre Miller, even if it's taken a long time for him to really find a role and find a place on the team.
All right, there it is. Over 40 minutes, over 45 minutes. The draft ranking show. Follow Maddie on X at Maddie Kiwoom. Go over to, is it on the Player Profiler Now channel?
Player Profiler Now and Player Profiler. You can get me at 4 different channels. TDR, obviously you're here, tuned in. You can find me over at the South Harmon Fantasy Football channel. You can find me at Player Profiler and the Player Profiler Now YouTube channel. I'm all over YouTube. Call me the Mr. Beast of fantasy football, baby.
There it is. Maddie Kiwoom. We'll see you next week.
Peace.